National Electrical Code, or NEC, does not have a specific rule that bans installing things above bar joists. However, to make sure electrical setups in warehouses are safe, several code rules must be followed. Firstly, regarding clearance for obstructions, NEC Article 410.16b says electrical equipment must be at least 12 inches above anything that could get in the way of using or fixing it, including bar joists and other structural parts. Secondly, when it comes to supporting conductors and equipment, NEC Article 300.11 says conductors and equipment need to be held up well so they don't move or droop too much. The support has to be strong enough to hold the equipment's weight and any extra loads it might have to handle. Thirdly, as it pertains to grounding, NEC Article 250.118 says metal raceways, enclosures, and equipment must be grounded to stop static electricity or electric shocks from happening. The Steel Deck Institute, or SDI, has its own advice. The SDI specification for cold formed steel deck for composite construction, or SDIC, suggests not attaching things to the top of bar joists because it could harm the joist structure. Besides the code rules and advice, there are other things to think about when putting fixtures above bar joists. One such thing is structural integrity. Attaching equipment or materials to the top of bar joists can weaken them. This is really important where the roof might have to carry heavy loads. Then there is fire safety. Putting materials above bar joists could add more fuel to a fire. This is especially worrying in warehouses that store a lot of things that can burn. Another aspect to consider is access for maintenance. Equipment above bar joists might be hard to get to for fixing or upkeep. This could mean more downtime and safety risks. In conclusion, while the NEC doesn't say you absolutely can't install equipment above bar joists, it's usually better to avoid it. There are possible structural, fire safety, and maintenance issues to think about. Using chain-supported fixtures might be a better idea in some situations. To go into more detail on these points, let's consider each one individually. Regarding NEC Article 410.16b, the 12-inch clearance is intended to provide sufficient space for accessing and maintaining the electrical equipment. If the equipment is installed too close to the bar joists, it may be difficult to reach the wiring connections, access panels, or other components that require periodic inspection or repair. This clearance also helps to prevent accidental contact with the equipment during routine maintenance or other activities in the area. NEC Article 300.11a, which addresses the support of conductors and equipment, is a critical safety requirement. A properly supported electrical equipment can pose a significant hazard, as it may be subject to excessive movement, vibration, or strain. This can lead to damaged conductors, loose connections, and even equipment failure. The support system must be designed to withstand the weight of the equipment, as well as any additional loads that may be imposed on it, such as wind, snow, or ice. The support system should also be resistant to corrosion, vibration, and other environmental factors that could compromise its integrity over time. NEC Article 250.118, which covers grounding requirements, is essential for protecting people and equipment from electrical shock hazards. Grounding provides a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source, which allows the overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers or fuses, to quickly trip and de-energize the circuit. Without proper grounding, fault currents can flow through unintended paths, such as the human body, which can result in serious injury or death. Grounding also helps to reduce the risk of static electricity buildup, which can damage sensitive electronic equipment or create a fire hazard. The Steel Deck Institute's recommendations regarding attachments to the top of bar joists are based on concerns about the structural integrity of the joists. Bar joists are designed to carry specific loads, and any modifications or attachments to the joists can potentially weaken them or alter their load-carrying capacity. This is particularly important in areas where the roof may be subject to heavy loads, such as snow or wind. Fastening equipment to the top of the bar joist can create stress concentrations and reduce the overall strength of the joist. Regarding structural integrity, the weight of the fixtures and any additional loads can cause the bar joist to deflect or bend, which can lead to cracks or other structural damage. This is especially important in older buildings where the bar joists may already be weakened due to age or corrosion. Installing materials above bar joists can also create a fire hazard. The added materials can act as fuel, increasing the intensity and spread of a fire. This is particularly concerning in warehouses where large amounts of combustible materials are stored. The added materials can also obstruct the sprinkler system, preventing it from effectively suppressing the fire. Access for maintenance is another important consideration. Equipment installed above bar joists may be difficult to reach, making it challenging to perform routine maintenance or repairs. This can lead to increased downtime, as well as safety hazards for maintenance personnel. It is important to ensure that there is adequate access to all electrical equipment for inspection, testing, and repair. The use of chain-supported fixtures can be a more appropriate solution in some cases, as it allows the fixtures to be suspended from the bar joists without directly attaching them to the top of the joists. This can help to reduce the risk of structural damage and improve access for maintenance. However, it is important to ensure that the chains are properly sized and installed to support the weight of the fixtures and any additional loads. To ensure compliance with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards, it is important to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or contractor before installing any electrical equipment in a warehouse or other commercial building. They can assess the specific site conditions and design a safe and efficient electrical system that meets all applicable requirements. In addition to the NEC and SDI recommendations, there may be other local codes or regulations that apply to electrical installations in warehouses. It is important to check with the local authorities to ensure compliance with all applicable requirements. Some local codes may have more stringent requirements than the NEC, or they may address specific issues that are not covered by the NEC. For example, some local codes may require the use of specific types of wiring or grounding systems, or they may impose restrictions on the types of fixtures that can be installed in certain areas. It is also important to consider the specific type of warehouse when designing the electrical system. For example, a warehouse that stores flammable materials will have different electrical requirements than a warehouse that stores non-combustible materials. Warehouses that store flammable materials may require the use of explosion-proof fixtures and wiring, as well as other safety measures to prevent fires or explosions. The type of lighting used in the warehouse can also have an impact on the electrical system design. For example, LED lighting is becoming increasingly popular in warehouses due to its energy efficiency and long lifespan. However, LED fixtures may have different wiring and grounding requirements than traditional fluorescent fixtures. It is important to consult with a lighting specialist to select the appropriate type of lighting for the warehouse and to ensure that the electrical system is designed to accommodate the lighting load. The electrical system should also be designed to accommodate any other equipment that will be used in a warehouse, such as forklifts, conveyors, and other machinery. This equipment may require dedicated circuits or special wiring to ensure proper operation and safety. It is also important to consider the future needs of the warehouse when designing the electrical system. The system should be designed to accommodate any potential expansion or changes in the warehouse's operations. This may require the installation of additional conduits, wiring, or panels to provide capacity for future growth. A well-designed electrical system is essential for the safe and efficient operation of a warehouse. By following the NEC and other applicable codes and standards, and by consulting with qualified professionals, it is possible to create an electrical system that meets the specific needs of the warehouse and provides a safe and reliable power supply. To reiterate and summarize the key points, consider the following. Firstly, the NEC doesn't explicitly forbid installing equipment above bar joists, but adherence to clearance, support, and grounding requirements is crucial. Secondly, the SDI advises against attachments to bar joists due to potential structural damage. Thirdly, evaluate structural integrity, fire safety, and maintenance access when planning installations. Fourthly, chain-supported fixtures can be a viable alternative to direct attachments. And fifthly, consult with electrical engineers and local authorities to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Now let's address some common misconceptions regarding electrical installations in warehouses. One common misconception is that as long as the electrical equipment is properly grounded, it is safe to install it anywhere in the warehouse. While grounding is an important safety measure, it is not a substitute for proper clearance support and other safety precautions. Electrical equipment should always be installed in accordance with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards, regardless of whether it is grounded. Another common misconception is that LED lighting is always the best choice for warehouses. While LED lighting offers many advantages, it may not be the most appropriate choice for all applications. For example, in some cases traditional fluorescent lighting may be more cost-effective or provide better light distribution. The best type of lighting for a warehouse will depend on the specific needs of the facility, including the type of materials stored, the layout of the warehouse, and the desired level of illumination. Another misconception is that electrical inspections are not necessary for minor electrical work. Even seemingly minor electrical work can have significant safety implications, and it is important to have all electrical work inspected by a qualified electrical inspector to ensure that it complies with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. Electrical inspections can help to identify potential hazards and prevent fires, electrical shocks, and other accidents. Also, there is a misconception that as long as the electrical contractor is licensed, they are qualified to perform any type of electrical work. While a license is a good indication of competence, it does not guarantee that the contractor is qualified to perform all types of electrical work. It is important to choose a contractor who has experience with the specific type of electrical work that needs to be performed and who is familiar with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. Another misconception is that it is acceptable to use extension cords as a permanent wiring solution. Extension cords are intended for temporary use only and should not be used as a substitute for permanent wiring. Extension cords can be easily damaged, and they can pose a fire hazard if they are overloaded or used improperly. If additional outlets are needed, they should be installed by a qualified electrician. Consider the scenario where a warehouse is undergoing renovations and the existing electrical system needs to be modified to accommodate the new layout. In this case, it is important to carefully plan the electrical modifications to ensure that they comply with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. The electrical modifications should be designed to accommodate the new lighting layout, the new equipment that will be used in the warehouse, and any other changes to the warehouse's operations. The electrical modifications should also be designed to ensure that the electrical system has sufficient capacity to meet the warehouse's future needs. Another scenario to consider is when a warehouse is being used to store hazardous materials. In this case, it is important to take extra precautions to ensure that the electrical system is safe and does not pose a fire or explosion hazard. The electrical system should be designed to comply with the National Fire Protection Association or NFPA standards for hazardous locations, and it should be regularly inspected to ensure that it is in good working order. The importance of ongoing maintenance and inspections cannot be overstated. Regular inspections can identify potential problems before they become serious, and proper maintenance can extend the life of the electrical system and prevent costly repairs. Inspections should be performed by qualified electrical inspectors who are familiar with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. Maintenance should be performed by qualified electricians who have experience with the specific type of electrical equipment that needs to be maintained. In summary, the installation of electrical equipment in warehouses requires careful planning and attention to detail. By following the NEC and other applicable codes and standards, and by consulting with qualified professionals, it is possible to create an electrical system that is safe, efficient, and reliable. And by avoiding common misconceptions and prioritizing ongoing maintenance and inspections, you can help to ensure that the electrical system remains in good working order for many years to come.